Hello and welcome everybody to the Strategy Room interview series. I'm your host, Pete Lawson, and today I'm joined by Joel Perez. And Joel is the owner of Apoyo Coaching. Thanks, Joel, for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I wonder if we could kick off with a little bit of a brief background as to who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Well, like you said, my name is Joel Perez. I'm the owner of Apoyo Coaching and Consulting. So I'm an executive and leadership coach, as well as a consultant in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. And I help leaders, particularly two types of leaders, white leaders who want to improve their ability to lead in the areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I do that by creating space for them to ask questions that they may not feel safe to answer in their place of employment, to live into their values of equity and justice, and to learn how to move from cultural competency to cultural humility. And the other type of coaching client I work with is for leaders of color from minoritized communities that are struggling to lead authentically in predominantly white spaces. And I do that also by creating space for them to explore issues like code switching, microaggressions, as well as identify ways to lead authentically where they lean into their salient identities instead of hiding them and seeing them as strengths as opposed to weaknesses. Wow. And then the consulting I do is to help organizations move from performative statements to action as opposed to just saying they're going to get better or create a more inclusive organization with a deep sense of belonging, but actually what does that look like and what's the kind of work they can do in order to achieve what they desire.
Yeah. So Joel, you've had your business Apoyo Coaching and Consulting for 5+ years. What were you doing prior to that? Have you done any other types of coaching?
Yeah, well, so I was serving in higher education, United States higher education. So working at colleges and universities. My last role was vice president and dean of students of a small private liberal arts college in Southern California. And I left higher education in 2019, and I had 20+ years of experience in higher education where I was informally coaching and mentoring students as well as staff members who wanted to lead authentically. I identify as Mexican American Chicano, so I call myself a man of color. Cisgender male, pronouns are he, him, él. Spanish was my first language, so I'm a son of immigrants who education changed the trajectory of my life and also led me to go into higher education. But then in 2019, things changed for me and decided to pursue getting a certification in coaching. And then that changed my life. And I pivoted out of higher ed and now doing leadership coaching as well as consulting.
Wow. So while we're on that subject, can you share the story of what inspired you to actually become a business coach?
Oh, yeah, I would say I had a really positive experience from hiring a coach to help me navigate some of the challenges I was having as a leader. And that created in me something that said, hey, I can do this. And when things changed for me in higher education and I started exploring what might be next for me, the thought of serving as a coach came front of mind. And so that led me to get a certification in coaching and start coaching. A lot of my clients are higher education professionals, as well as nonprofit leaders. But initially, to answer your question, it was my own coaching experience that led me to pursue getting a certification and then eventually credentialing as a coach. And now serving in this capacity, helping leaders get better at what they do.
Sure. So how do you define success in your coaching practice?
Well, I think there's the intrinsic success that I feel when I help someone get through something that they're stuck in, to see themselves achieve the goals that they've set out to achieve. And so that is success for me. From a business standpoint, it's coaching, obviously enrolling coaching clients as well as consulting clients where I help them get better. But ultimately, I do this work because I'm wired in a way that I really get a lot of value in helping leaders lead the best that they can lead, and overcoming the challenges that they believe they have in areas like leading diversity initiatives as well as leading authentically.
Okay. Okay. That's excellent. So can you share a time when things didn't go as planned in your coaching journey? I mean, what happened there? None of it's always it's not a rocky road, but it's never all good, is it?
Right.
There's there's some
Yeah.
potholes in the road there, some stage.
Well, yeah, I would say for me, it's when, I don't have as many clients as I would like to have and find it challenging to find people. And so, um, you know, obviously I wish my schedule was full all the time. It's starting to be that way, but initially that was a rough start for me. But I pressed on and really leaned to this strong desire I had to help people, to serve people. And once I made that connection that I'm a person of service, that helped me begin to meet the needs of my clients much more effectively. But initially, I
Right.
would say early on, it was a bit of a rough patch, because I was like, how do I do this? How do I get better? Stumbling a little bit on the way, but now feeling pretty confident and on solid footing.
Okay, so what was the lesson learned from all that? That rough patch that's starting out.
Yeah, well, I would say a lot of it's part of my own journey as being a son of immigrants who had to become resilient in order to be successful in higher education, even though I
Mm.
was part of a underrepresented group, attending a predominantly white or historically white institution.
Yep.
And I struggled, and it was my desire to complete my education. And so I just kept pressing on. And so that was the inspiration to keep me going in this business of coaching,
Mm.
because I knew that if I could do that, I could do this. And
Sure.
so that was super helpful in moving me forward to get, even when I have challenges now, it's leaning into what I know I can do because I've done it.
Right. So, in your experience, uh, what was the hardest part of being a business coach, and how do you navigate that?
Mm. I would say the hardest part of being a coach is not always, I would say early. I mean, even now, it's sometimes getting at the core of what my clients are facing, like
Mm.
it's a word I'm looking for, the their why, their purpose, helping them see their purpose.
Hmm.
So learning how to go deeper than just the goals and objectives, but like what is creating this desire for them to get better? What's the reason behind what they're pursuing? And so initially, when I first started coaching, I had a hard time of peeling back the layers of the onion. But as
Mm.
I've gotten better at this, as you do with coaching, you learn how to ask questions and explore more deeply, as opposed to just the surface level stuff. Like, why is it you want to, lead well? Like, what is that? What's your vision behind that? Or why do you have that vision? And learning to go deeper has been something that's been a journey for me that only comes with getting more experienced coaching individuals
Yep.
and working with organizations.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just writing a couple of notes here,
Yeah, yeah.
if that's okay, Sean.
Mhm.
Okay. So let's get on to a brighter subject. What's been your most rewarding moment as being a business coach?
Well, lately I have a book coming out. I was able to write a book. The title of the book is "Dear White Leader: How to Achieve Organizational Excellence Through Cultural Humility."
Okay.
So it's been a labor of love, and hired a book coach to help me write a book,
Yep.
and that was super helpful. But I would say that's a big accomplishment for me in my coaching journey, because and a lot of what I write comes from my own experience developing this posture, but also working with my clients who want to get better at leading diverse teams or minoritized teams, and also
Sure.
organizations to create the inclusive organization and the deep sense of belonging they wish to create. So for me, going back to your question, is writing this book, as well as helping individuals and growing my my client base.
Yep.
And that's been what I would say that's been something I'm proud of and have been able to do because of the perseverance, resilience, and learning to bring in structure. If you're familiar with Gallup Strengths, discipline is one of my top 5, and so because that's in my top 5, having a process that I follow has helped me stay focused and get to the goal that I have, which is helping more people and getting the message out about this topic of cultural humility.
Okay, so looking back, what's one thing you wish you knew when you began your coaching?
That I would say what I wish I knew was that it was going to take time, and it wasn't going to come overnight. Success wasn't going to come overnight, that I was going to need to put the work into it. Yep. I think initially I had this inclination that I just started coaching and people would, come at my door or come to my door without me having to do any work. And that was not the case. I think also that I didn't realize I had to continue to hone my skills. And seek people out to help me do that, whether that's involvement in the International Coaching Federation, attending workshops and conferences, getting better at enrolling clients.
Yes.
Initially, I didn't realize the amount of work that was going to take and focus in order to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Joel, I've written a whole bunch of notes here, I've got to say. So, mate, thanks so much for your time today, Joel.
You're welcome.
It was great meeting you and learning about your entrepreneurial journey. And I really appreciate your time. And you've come through quite a lot of adversity. But the thing I like about what you're doing, Joel, is that you're realizing that other people are coming through the same journey that you came through.
Yes.
And you're helping them to overcome some of the adversities that you had by learning and from your mistakes going through and shortcutting or fast tracking their degree to success. So that's fantastic. I really appreciate it, Joel.
You're welcome.
To everyone watching, I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Thanks for coming.